about Kiss? Why is this the podcast that needs to be corrected to fix the timeline? Why couldn't it be a good show like your favorite band sucks podcast? This is bullshit!
Alright, so we're in the top 10 of Kiss albums according to this panel. Top 10. And next up on the top 10, we've got one of the 78 solo albums. We've got Paul Stanley next on the list.
Hey, this is exactly where
Sorry, next on the list.
Yeah.
Lift. I'm sad because that joke didn't actually come through because of Skype compression.
Oh, no.
If only we had
Greg has a bit of a
Creatures of
lisp.
the Night
Oh,
compression.
wait, never mind.
If only we had Creatures compression.
Right? But yeah, Paul Stanley 78. I'm actually pleasantly surprised this made it into the top 10. It's not what I expected to make the top 10 of our ranking of every album, but here it is, according to science. Paul Stanley 78, top 10 Kiss album. Steve, you ranked it the lowest. How surprised are you to see this one make its way up here?
I mean, not particularly. I forget, did we already do the Ace solo album? Okay, no, we didn't do the Ace solo album yet. So, Kiss fans are fools with terrible taste in music.
Hell yeah.
They're like, ooh, Paul Stanley, that's the most Kiss of the solo albums, but Ace Frehley is the most shreddy of the solo albums. And like, oh, those are both bad takes, but okay, sure.
I mean, are those really bad takes? I think they're accurate takes. That
Yes,
doesn't
I think
necessarily...
having different opinions from me is, in fact, a bad take.
I mean, that's not even that's not even a difference of opinions. They're having the same assessment. I guess the difference of opinions deciding whether or not that's a good thing. But the assessment is exactly the same.
It's true, yes. Their conclusion that Paul Stanley's solo album is good because it's more Kiss-like than the rest is what's wrong with them.
Oh, so I would argue that what's good about this album is that it has good songs performed well. Not that it's like the most Kiss-like. I actually think that Aces has a more Kiss-like production, and Paul Stanley 78 doesn't really sound like any other particular Kiss album. And also, the ballads are way wimpier than the ballads on Kiss albums. But Paul Stanley 78, it's a killer album. It's got lots of great songs, and there's ballads on there too. I mean, I think it's a great underappreciated album in the catalog with just lots of great cuts. Great album opener. Wouldn't You Like to Know Me is also a great song. Like, yeah, Paul Stanley 78. It's good. Gavin, you ranked it that's lowest after me and Steve. So what are your thoughts on Paul Stanley 78?
Yeah, no, this is a great album. I mean, everything in my top 10 is what I would defend as a great album for one reason or another. But this, that opening track, Tonight You Belong to Me, is just a great kind of stadium-ready rock tune. Wouldn't You Like to Know Me is great. Move On. It's All Right. I love. Goodbye is a hell of a song, too. My favorite is probably Take Me Away Together As One. Like that big-ass chorus, though. Just when that comes in, oh, man. You should sing along with that really loud sometime. It's fun. Now we come to the hot take I've been waiting to say ever since we got the Gene's album when it was ranked entirely too low. I ranked Gene's album 1 point above this.
It didn't matter in the long run, buddy.
No, it didn't matter in the long run, but I think...
I mean, it's hot takes like that have caused California to be on fire, right?
I did the same thing. I just ranked them both in the bottom 10.
Well, I've the reason why Paul's is lower than Gene's for me is because of one song. Can you guess what it is?
Hold Me, Touch Me.
Hold Me, Touch Me, think of... Yeah.
And also, I laughed because when you said Take Me Away, I was thinking of that one. Take Me Away is a great song, so I didn't mean to laugh at that. But no, Hold Me, Touch Me, where did Paul Stanley's balls go? Because they're not present on that song.
And then why was that the single? Like, could you imagine, like...
Wouldn't You Like to Know Me? That's a single.
There it is. Yeah, Wouldn't You Like to Know Me? It's All Right would have made a great single, I think.
Love in Chains would have been a better single.
Love in Chains,
rock radio.
Yeah.
Even Ain't Quite Right like has a cool groove to it.
That's a great song as well. Yeah, this whole album is great, except for
that one.
Paul trying for a 70s AM radio hit.
Are we all kind of overlooking that Love Gun has Then She Kissed Me on, which was clearly a Paul Stanley decision. Like, he showed his intentions on Love Gun, and it shouldn't be surprising that, the 1978 album has that
but
on.
Look, there's a difference between posting on the libertarian right Reddit saying, you know what, you can have relationships with whoever you want, and then actually committing pedophilia. Paul Stanley crossed the line with "Hold Me, Touch Me."
Wow, that
Are you suggesting, Greg, that "Hold Me, Touch Me, Think of Me When We're Apart" is about Paul Stanley having relations with a child? Is that what?
I'm just saying that if you show me that there was a Gary Glitter co-write, I wouldn't be surprised. And so then I'd expect it to be a catchier song, damn it.
I like that you're accusing some of his songs of being, creepy towards, young girls. When based on scant evidence, when there are just, Kiss songs that are creepy about young girls.
Oh no. What I was saying, just like the amount of just it was more meant to be an analogy of saying, like, look, Then She Kissed Me, you're hinting that you're going to do something shitty, but then you went ahead and did something shitty. The same way that the people on the Librite message boards are hinting that they're going to do something shitty.
I mean, I'll come out in defense of Hold Me, Touch Me, Think of Me When We're Apart. I guess I just have a big old sappy side. I mean, not even I guess. I know I do. And I have ever since I heard it, over 20 years ago, I just think it's a very pleasant song. I like that Paul plays the lead guitar on it a lot. I think he plays a very tasteful part on that, and I'm just kind of a fan of a lot of his lead playing, which we, in the big scheme of things, we haven't gotten to hear a whole lot. So yeah, I'll be the one guy to say I really like that song. I get why it was a single, especially because back then you had like a Beth. They were just kind of, he was probably trying his hand at like big commercial success. Probably not the best choice, especially now in hindsight. We can look back on it literally with decades of future knowledge. There were better single choices, but I also totally get why that was the single.
Yeah, I mean, I get why it's the single, but it sucks.
Yeah, and there is nothing as pandering on Gene's album.
Honestly, look, there's
probably
nothing
not, but
there's
nothing is good on Gene's album either. I did mean that as a joke, but I mean, I do take that song definitely over a lot of Gene's album.
Over then Burning Up with Fever, See You Tonight.
No, I mean, I'm not saying it smokes every song. I mean, See You Tonight is great. That See You Tonight is awesome. Burn Up with Fever is a very cool song. I probably connect more with Hold Me, Touch Me than Burn It Up with Fever, but I mean, I'm fine with either side of that debate. I get totally why Burn It Up with Fever would do it a lot more for a lot of people.
I think what it comes down to is, like, Paul Stanley has written a lot of really great ballads over the course of his career, but this one just feels the most, how would I put this? It has the most estrogen.
I mean, I think
Paul Stanley song he's ever written.
I guess I've always come at it from like the perspective of knowing when it came out. So it was 1978. I'm thinking he's going for like, I don't know, like an Andy Gibb thing, or just like anything of that.
I get
era,
it, but just the way that he sings it, he doesn't sing. He's not as comfortable with ballad singing, which he mentioned in books that he hadn't found his ballad singing voice, and so it just sounds like Paul Stanley left his balls at the door and went and recorded this. It's terrible. I'm sorry.
It's about Paul Stanley's soul and how this girl is going to have some of his soul.
So yeah, Victor, what did you think of Paul Stanley 78?
I liked this album a lot, both of the times that I listened to it, and it actually was a very last-minute decision. I decided to rank Peter Criss over it, but I do think this is a solid album pretty much the whole way through. Pretty lyrics deaf, so I didn't notice how lacking in balls that one song was. I think the sound of this album is really good, and one of the reasons people probably think that it's like kind of the most Kiss-like of all of them is because Paul Stanley is arguably the lead singer of Kiss, and he sings every song on this album. So that Paul Stanley's voice honestly really reminds me of the guy who sings in Kiss.
It's a fair assessment. And Mike, I don't think I got your full take on the album. Just you were defending "Hold Me, Touch Me." You gave it the same number of points as Victor.
Yeah, it's interesting because I actually ranked it. I mean, so I have it at number 9, so it is still in my top 10. But I ranked it considerably lower than I did when I ranked all the Kiss albums with a couple of friends. I want to say 2006, 2007. So that was pre Sonic Boom and Monster. But still, back then I had Paul's album at number 3, so incredibly high. So to see it drop 6 points kind of felt like a lot. But I mean, I think it'll always pretty much.
The first time through, I had it at number 5.
Yeah, well, I think it's I mean, not only do I think it's a great album, it is a great album. I would say probably the most or one of the most like overall artistic out of the Kiss albums / 1978 solo albums. I mean, it's the complete package in terms of songwriting, production, performance. It's just like a very complete professional sounding album where you have kind of like more straightforward rock songs. You kind of have a couple of more like bigger epic-esque type songs. You got some ballads. It's like a very complete album. It is very 70s to me, and I mean that in a very positive way. I think it's one of those albums, and I think I said this. I mean, I did say it about Peter's, and I would say it about Paul's as well. It's one of those albums where if you take away all of the Kiss association and you give this to another artist or band or whatever, I could see this being considered like a classic 70s album that people laud. I mean, I don't want to be too pretentious and say it would be like on the level of Boston's debut album, but I think it would be something big like that, where people are like, oh man, that first like if Paul Stanley wasn't
like the first Foreigner album.
Oh, that's for like the first Foreigner album, exactly. Like if Paul Stanley only did this album like in history, like, oh man, that guy Paul Stanley, that album he did in '78, like killer, man. It's got this song and this song and this song. I think those would still be played on radio today, and I think people would be talking about it, and yeah, it's got that vibe to me of that overall level of quality and professionalism of that kind of music of that era. And so wherever you put it, I think it belongs high for sure. Whether I have it at 3 15 years ago or 9 today, it's quite the masterpiece.
And there is something about like Paul's consistency as an artist where it can be more fun to rank the other 78s above him because they're more unexpected. We're like, oh man, Ace, had this really hard rock album, and like, oh, Peter did this weird left turn. Paul is like, hey, I produced a bunch of competent songs because that's what I do all the time, and I've been carrying this band for years, and I continue to carry this band. So it's in some ways maybe like the most expected of the albums, and maybe sometimes it gets lost in the shuffle because of that, even though the quality is very good.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, it's kind of like where people got what they expected of him. It would be like if you have a great garbage man and a terrible mailman, and your garbage man always picks up your garbage and your mailman like always messes up your mail. And then like 1 week your garbage man comes and like quickly picks up your garbage. You'd be like, okay, like that's what he always does. And then your mailman delivers like half of your mail. You'd be like, whoa, he delivered half the mail today. That's amazing. Like, even though really the garbage man is always giving you like consistent quality. And now I feel terrible because I'm comparing Paul to a garbage man, and I'm comparing the other guys to a mailman who doesn't even deliver half the mail correctly. So terrible analogy, but
Paul Stanley would be proud. You have graduated the Paul Stanley School of Analogy. Well, Jamie, you ranked this the highest. You gave this 20 points. So what are your thoughts? Paul Stanley, 78.
Yeah, I realized just kind of like looking back on my rankings and the way that orchestrated them. I just really love Kiss, so all of the albums rank highly in my heart. The Paul Stanley solo album's the second best of the solo albums, in my opinion. It is really, 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 really good. But Hold Me, Touch Me does let it down a little bit. Like, the tracks, like, you know, Wouldn't You Like to Know Me is one of my favourite songs ever kind of recorded under the Kiss umbrella. I think it's amazing. It sounds like a Cheap Trick song, and I love Cheap Trick, so that's okay by me. I wonder whether, you know, like, I think you said it, Greg, where Paul Stanley is a confident songwriter, and therefore this is a collection of 9 very confidently written, recorded, performed songs. I wonder how this would have compared if he knew that Ace was going to release an album of the caliber that he did.
If he would have like gone much harder and like really focused and like tried to outdo Ace. Like, he just did his normal thing, assuming he would outdo everyone else because like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. I think Paul like just expected that his album would have been the best of the 4, and you know, quite rightly, you would expect it to be as well, given the kind of the quality of the songs that had been on Kiss records prior. And Ace really only had kind of 3 or 4 songs prior to that, and only 1 vocal with Shock Me on Love Gun. So I wonder whether we'd have had, you know, I just wonder what we would have got if Paul had heard kind of what Ace was doing prior.
Yeah, Jamie, that's interesting because it reminded me of quite a few years ago when I met Eddie Belandis at a Kiss Expo. You know, he's most famous as the guy who does the intro on Alive 2. And, you know, so he was just sharing stories about Kiss in the 70s and hanging out with them. And Gene was working on his solo album in somewhere in England, right? If I'm not mistaken. I forget
I always thought it was an Electric Ladyland recording.
Or maybe there were it had something to do with England at the time. So I don't know if it was like just hanging out, writing ahead of time, maybe not the final sessions, but he was over there, and they got someone brought a copy of Speeding Back to My Baby that Ace had been working on. They were like, oh yeah, we have a song that Ace has been working on. Just thought you'd like be interested. You know, they're like, okay, let's check it out. And I guess they hit play, and you know, Speeding Back to My Baby, it just starts rocking out. And I guess just instantly, Gene had this just kind of look and this reaction like, oh fuck, I'm about to get smoked. So it's interesting, you know, just that reaction, and just kind of thinking, yeah, what if it had been Paul? How much did or did he not hear ahead of time? Like, you know, just thinking about it from his perspective, the way you put that made me think of Gene just realizing he was working on these weird avant-garde pieces, and Ace was just rocking his balls off.
I was also wondering that, like, so if we think Paul was just kind of operating in I am Paul Stanley and the year is 1978 and this is what I do, and Ace was like, I need to fucking rock because people don't actually know what I do. What the hell was Gene doing that whole time? And then Peter was obviously off in like La La Land, just like they don't let me do this in Kiss. So
yeah, I think it's really interesting. Like, I mean, you know, the two songs, because there are 2 songs prior to the solo releases that Ace sings on, aren't there? Because Alive 2 came out in 77 as well. So you've got Shock Me, and then you've got Rocket Ride, and Rocket Ride is a phenomenal song. Like, it's brilliant. You know, it's yeah. I'd love to know what they actually thought.
Okay, so
behind the mask, Paul was claiming that he heard "Rip It Out" and thought, "Wow, this would be a cool Kiss song," which translates to he was trying to sound cool about it and not act like he was shitting his pants at the quality of the piece.
Yeah, if I remember rightly, he rated Aces 3 stars out of 5 or some bullshit like that. But he did say that he was really disappointed in Gene's album, so you know, swings and roundabouts, I suppose.
So I did look it up. Gene's album was recorded in a couple different studios in different countries. Well, 2 different countries. And the one in England was the Manor Studio. And Jamie, forgive me if I say this wrong. It was a village of Shipton on Cherwell in Oxfordshire, England.
that sounds that sounds right. That sounds correct. The Manor Studio that was owned by Richard Branson. So Virgin, when he founded Virgin Records, he founded a recording studio as well. And the first release on his label that was recorded in that studio was Mike Oldfield's Tubular Bells.
Nice.
Wow.
Totally tubular.
Is anyone ever gonna fuck Richard Branson? By the way,
is this like an ongoing joke or
You mean
something?
besides the whales?
it's just Virgin. Everything.
I got
God.
it. Okay, I didn't know if there was like some campaign where like he got divorced and like who's gonna fuck Richard Branson? I got it, Virgin. Yeah.
Also,
No,
is
that was
someone
a good
doing
joke.
Power washing in the background or something?
Sorry, my microwave's going, but it's okay. The noise gate will pick it up. Only you guys can hear it. The coffee's not going to drink itself. I'm
That's
sad
fair.
that nobody got the whales joke.
You're microwaving coffee?
Yeah, how else do you reheat it?
You don't.
Don't.
You make a
You
new
grill
cup.
it.
Oh, is this a
grill
Canadian
it.
thing? Oh my goodness.
Actually, to be fair,
I'm phoning the police.
the best way to reheat coffee is slowly in a saucepan, stirring constantly.
Yeah,
Ah,
I wouldn't do that, but that sounds better than microwaving.
fuck the lot of
yeah.
yous, man. Just make a new cup of coffee. I'm phoning the
no.
police on all of yous.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
what I do. I make, I just
Jamie's
make
a
more
narc.
coffee.
You know what's
Yeah,
louder
that's
than
right.
my
He's a
microwave?
fucking narc.
My coffee
Jamie-
grinder.
Hey,
Jamie
you know
thinks
what's
it's okay to call the police because they don't have guns there.
That's the point. Yeah.
They would kill us for putting coffee in the
Yeah,
microwave.
yeah, Jamie, a black person lives in my house. Please don't call the cops on us.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I won't be doing that. Yeah, our police officers don't have guns. They're just very polite.
Do you guys is it 911 over there too, or do you have a different like number?
No, it's 999, but we still think all of
Okay.
our cops are bastards and all, so
It works out.
it works out.
So any other comments on Paul Stanley 78 before we move on?
How accurate is the
Carmine
portrayal
Appice-
of British police in British mystery shows? Like, are they all really like Inspector Vera? Cops just call you
No.
Pet constantly?
Well, yeah, Pet's kind of a Yorkshire thing, which isn't too far. Like the area of Yorkshire is not too far away from where I am.
All right.
Carmine
Next up-
Appice's drumming was really good on this album.
Yeah, Bob Kulick's playing's really good too.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah,
Rest
Bob
in
is
peace,
awesome
Bob
on this
Kulick.
album.
Yeah.
Better than Creatures, Gavin?
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, this is a better album than Creatures.
It is a better album than Creatures.
I mean, according to the ranking, which is according to science, it is a better album than Creatures. But yeah, I would say I'm glad that this album exists with Bob's playing all over it, because with this album plus Killers and Alive 2, you get a lot of Bob Kulick's playing in the Kiss catalog.
Sure.
And
Yeah,
you basically have like 2 albums worth of material with him.
The dude can
which-
play.
Yeah, so shout out to Brother Bob.
That was the thing I read. He was like almost in Kiss, right?
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he had the talent. It was really just the look. Yeah.
Just he
I just-
looked like a fucking nerd, and so they're like, let's get the guy who looks cool instead. Which, I mean, is the right way to go. As someone who has gotten turned down because someone in my band looked like a nerd, not Steve, by the way.
No, I looks like a cool nerd where the guy was
Yeah.
like, yeah, he's got a shtick. That's fine.
Someone
Yeah.
was standing next to Steve, and they were like, "That guy is a nerd."
I remember when I started doing these podcasts, and I would tell my cousin Brian, who's a rock musician and a huge Kiss fan and everything. I was like, yeah, I'm doing these podcasts, and like, this is what Bear Frog says sometimes, and like sometimes he's so right and sometimes he's so wrong, and then there's like this Steve guy, and like he like actually hates Kiss, but like sometimes he likes certain songs, and sometimes he's right too, and this whole thing is driving me crazy. So he was like looking you guys up and like looking up the band and everything, and then he's seeing pictures of Steve, and he was like, oh man, like I fucking hate this Steve guy because like he looks so goofy, but like kind of like in a cool way, kind of like how Rick Nielsen looks goofy in Cheap Trick.
Yeah.
So like I want to hate him, but I also love him, and like so fuck you, Steve, for being so lovable.
Yeah, pretty much. And that was actually what the guy said. That was what the guy says. Like, yeah, he has the Rick Nielsen thing. I can work with this guy. But it was like the other guys just like, they just look like kind of awkward nerds versus Steve looks like a cool nerd.
Steve could be in Cheap Trick, and the other guy was in Weezer.
Right. Except we were both trying to be in Kiss, and that was the problem. So anyway, speaking of Kiss, hey, next up on the list is a Kiss album.
I've heard them.
and I actually ranked this lower than every other panelist, but I'm wrong. Unmasked is next on the list.
Ooh, great album.
Okay,
Great
I saw Victor's face up. Victor, you put this as your number one. I just want to hear your thoughts on this. Remember when I said that Victor would like the reveal of the Kiss catalog?
Christ. I know Greg's number one, and this is the worst number one I've heard so far. This is incredible. Because at least Greg's being funny when he picks his. Jesus fucking Christ. Like, I'm not mad about it. I love Unmasked. I think it's great. But fucking hell. First.
I am amazed because there is one album in particular that I am shocked we haven't got to yet, and definitely should not be above this album. But we'll figure that out when we get there.
Hey, man.
I'm assuming that's aside from the obvious one.
I put it at number one, man. I was trying to get it above all of them. So the thing about this album is that every song is good.
Oh, yeah.
And how low can you rank an album if all of the songs are good and a couple of the songs are amazing? I don't know what you're all doing.
Oh, my sweet naive child, Victor. Kiss isn't about good songs.
So, it opens with "Is That You," which is just classic, really disgusting, demeaning Kiss stuff. But
Write it.
very catchy.
The dude who
very
wrote Cry
well
Little
performed.
Sister wrote that one.
Yeah, it's a
Why
cover.
it's so good.
Well, it's good. Like, I don't care. And then Shandy, absolutely one of my favorite of their songs. Top 10, maybe top 5. Like, just absolutely one of my favorites. Talk to Me gives us Ace as sort of a lost Beach Boy kind of character who's randomly kind of chased, but isn't Kiss. I don't know. Like, I guess I could keep going through every song and be like, this one's good, and this one's good, and this one's good.
Yeah,
I would love to keep hearing Victor's breakdown because I love Unmasked and I have such a soft spot for it. Before the two newest awesome Kiss albums, it was in my top 10, so now I think I have it at 11. But it was in my top 10 15 years ago, and the fact that someone out there put it at number one, I'm totally cool with that because it's such a good, fun album.
Yeah, you know what, Victor? I need your takes. Just go through the track list. Just do it.
Okay. Well, I'll at least go through like all of my notes. So I have Naked City as a strong effort from Gene, like especially the instrumental work on that track being particularly good.
Bob,
What makes there he is, Bob. The What Makes the World Go Round, I think was maybe the first chance at a falter, but then that one has a great instrumental break and a great pre-chorus. Tomorrow, as one that Greg and I have talked about, feels it's got tremendous Greg energy.
It does have tremendous Greg energy.
Two Sides of the Coin strays a little bit from Ace being a Lost Wilson brother. A little bit. It's a little hornier, but it also is so it never gets into specifics, which makes me think he's still maybe a Wilson brother, but was allowed to be horny more openly. She's So European is such a parody of a Kiss song while also being a pretty good Kiss song. Oh my God. It's amazing. It's so great. And especially because the lyric is, she's one of a kind, but there's like millions of Europeans. There's so many.
This is why we needed his take on all these songs.
This is a fucking awesome album, and I haven't even gotten to Torpedo Girl. Maybe my favorite Kiss song. It's so fucking stupid. I love
Stanley's dick.
Could this be a dream?
I don't know.
Okay.
Oh, this is awesome.
So Here's another thing. This is another thing I was waiting to bring up, but I think this is going to be a perfectly fine time to bring it up. Ace is both a Lost Wilson brother, but he is also the Gilbert Gottfried of rock and roll. And that he can't really sing. He just kind of shouts. And it shows up on Talk to Me. It really shows up on his 78 album. And it really shows up on, oh, God.
Torpedo Girl?
Well, Torpedo Girl, but I feel like there's... No, and not on this album. There's actually another album where 2000 Man.
We'll get to that.
Absolutely the most, like, Gilbert Gottfried ass I've ever heard on a song. But, yeah, I mean, so... This album is great. It's got great songs by many boys who were in the band, and it's got
boys who weren't.
And many boys who weren't. Yeah,
it's got Torpedo Girl, which is just one of the finest things ever committed to whatever they record on. I don't know. I think
it was shellac back then.
It's just so difficult for me to hear an album where every song is good and many of them are great, and then you guys laugh at me for being like, this guy likes good shit. That doesn't make any sense. That's pretty funny.
No, I'm not. I hate to nitpick, but there's one more song to go. Just finish us out. I gotta hear all 11
shit.
from you.
So I didn't write down the title of this song.
You're all that I want.
I say,
you're all that I want. You're all that I need.
Yeah, I appreciate the Styx tendencies in some of these songs. Really solid, if awkwardly sequenced. I don't remember that. Ever since I've listened to it again, I've been like, oh man, just keep those hits coming. I fucking love this album. I have put this on several times for pleasure and not for homework.
I mean, that's the highest praise. Kiss, deriving pleasure.
I enjoy this.
Kiss. I listened to it on purpose for fun.
It's one of let's say 4 albums that I listen to semi-regularly now.
Wow. Kiss albums or albums period?
Kiss albums that I listen to semi-regularly.
Yeah, no, he only listens to 4 albums, all of them by Kiss.
And it's Unmasked, Reveal, Saint Anger,
and then my cover.
And then your cover of Saint Anger.
Right.
Yeah.
Saint Anger.
It's Saint Anger Street.
Right.
So it's
Saint
Anger ST, yeah.
So I don't know how to follow that up, but we'll follow it up with Steve, who gave this 21 points, elevating Unmasked very high.
Right. I just realized that if Saint Anger had done really well as an album, we would probably actually have an album called Saint Angrier by now.
Yeah.
Can this group of people start a band called Saint Angrier? And
we have the personnel.
We have the personnel.
We have the snare tone.
Gavin, do you have a trash can that you can hit?
I've got some bits of metal around here somewhere that I can kind of clang together a bit. Yeah.
You guys, honestly, I've been hearing the trash can analogy for what, like 15, 20 years? I think it's bullshit because that's an insult to trash cans.
Right, trash cans sound awesome if you hit them with a drumstick.
Yeah, like, Stomp is a great group.
There's some brilliant Tom Waits albums that use trash cans too, and dressers and things like that as snare sounds.
A dresser? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I have the Easy Drummer Tom Waits expansion, and it's full of all kinds of stupid bullshit.
Oh, I bet. Well, the story goes that Brain, who used to play in Primus, got the gig playing with Tom Waits in the late 90s, and he showed up to Tom Waits' house in Sebastopol, California with his $10,000 DW drum kit because he'd just been sponsored by DW because he was touring with Primus, and he set it all up in that barn and waited for Tom to come in. Tom walks in, takes one look at the drum kit and says, "No, we're not using anything you can get at Guitar Center on this album." Takes a 2x4, hits a dresser that he has in this barn and goes, "This is the snare for this song." And then plays the song in Brain, gives it one take, and it's on the album. You know.
That sounds very Tom Waitsy.
Oh yeah, what are we doing?
So many artists, I would be annoyed with that kind of mentality, but not Tom Waits. I'm like, yeah, no, Tom is absolutely fucking right about this.
He's great. Yeah, I used Huh?
No, sorry, go on.
Oh, I used to know a sax player named Ralph Carney who's on a bunch of Tom Waits albums, and one point he told a story about he was recording a solo for one of the songs on I think it was Frank's Wild Years, and Tom walks into the live room and says, "No, Ralph, you're playing it all wrong. You need to play this song like a fat man in a little hat." And then turns, walks away, goes back to the control room, and hits the chord.
That's so great.
Yeah, brilliant.
Fun story about Tom Waits for me that isn't really about him. About 17 years ago, a friend and I went and saw Styx, and Kansas was opening. And
very Tom Waits adjacent fans.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, so it was Styx with Kansas, and then also special guest or whatever, Tom Waits. And I was like, that is a weird combo. Why?
Whoa.
I don't get it. So, with my friend, I get to the show, and Tom Waits is playing, and I'm like, this is great. This is not what I thought he sounded like at all. This is very melodic. This very much fits in. I was a moron. It was John Waite, not Tom Waits. I had just completely messed them up in my head, and then I'm like, I'm starting to connect the dots and everything. I'm like, oh yeah, John Waite and Tom Waits, those are two totally different guys. And it's just amazing that even 17 years ago, I've been a fan of music for years, and it's just crazy how much I still had to learn. So that's what I love about music. I'm still learning even today.
Aw. And, that is a good story. We've all learned so much through our musical journeys. Steve, what did you learn listening to Unmasked by Kiss, which you gave 21 points to?
Yeah, so I put this in my top 5. This album, my opinion on these albums was very piecemeal based on just the best of songs and the worst of songs. And this album didn't have any particularly bad songs that stuck out. And it had several really good standouts, including Tomorrow and Is That You, which I just pulled up the lyrics and was like, oh, these lyrics are really gross.
But hey, they didn't write it. Someone's like, I have these really gross lyrics. I'll give it to Kiss.
And it's like, I just assumed that all songs by that guy are about vampires being inappropriate towards the Coreys. So whatever, it's fine.
It's also got Torpedo Girl on it.
Yeah.
That one's good.
I just tend to ignore a song.
Oh.
How is that even possible? He's just yelling directly into your ears.
I like your description of him as the Gilbert Gottfried of Kiss. The one who makes inappropriate jokes about Japanese natural disasters and gets fired from his insurance gig.
I mean, if
Gilbert did that too?
Fired from his gig.
The Aristocats.
Aristocrats.
Newest.
It's funnier to call it the Aristocats.
I always do that too. I always call it the Aristocats, and on accident.
I mean, it's a great movie.
I just assume the movie is secretly just a long form version of the joke.
It is. Spoilers. So yeah, I ranked this the lowest out of everyone on the panel. So I gave this 6 points out of a possible 25.
Oh, that's brutal.
Wow.
I mean,
Brutal.
It's an album that has definitely grown on me over time, but it did take a long time to grow on me. And I think there's just some of the songs, I think the production ultimately hurts it. I think a lot of Gene's songs are really hampered by the production. I think some of Paul's songs are hampered by the production. I think Asa's songs are actually perfect with the production. And then certain songs like Tomorrow works perfectly on the Paul song. But for the most part, I feel like the production is entertaining, but maybe isn't the best complement for a lot of the material. And so I think that is why it ranks lower as an album for me, where it just took me a long time to realize how good the songs were on it. But, I mean, it's still a great album. It's just I'm ranking it against a bunch of other great albums. And so that's just where it ended up. But I'd still say a masterpiece, stone cold classic. Gavin, what are your thoughts on Unmasked?
I am shocked that I ranked this higher than you did, Greg. I'm shocked by that. I'm shocked that it's Victor's number 1.
Are you really shocked it's Victor's number 1?
Kinda, yeah, actually. No, it makes sense actually, I guess, but yeah, okay. But I'm just surprised that I ranked it higher than you did, Greg. This is definitely an album that has grown on me as well, because when I first got this album, it was when I was, I don't know, 9 or 10. No, it still probably would have been 9 at that point. It was, I got it, I listened to it, I kind of thought, I remember thinking, is that you is okay, and then just I had never
Much
made
better
it
live.
Oh yeah. Well, and now I like the studio version a lot now, but when I was a young kid, I wanted more, I wanted God of Thunder, I wanted King of the Nighttime World, I wanted Rip It Out,
But this album already has a lot of reverb. Jokes.
But no, Unmasked has certainly grown on me over the years. It's like, I think Tomorrow is a great song. It's just a great kind of pop rock, power rock, rocky pop tune.
I mean, everyone agrees Tomorrow is great. Like, I haven't met anyone who's heard that song is like, this sucks. Like, I've never had a human react to it that way.
Yeah, you're right about that.
Like, there definitely are some great moments on this album. The fact that Paul and Gene okayed Torpedo Girl.
The best thing they did in their entire careers.
I mean, I'm not disagree. It's a great song.
I think at that point, just Ace he had more bargaining power in the band. Like, look, my solo album was the biggest.
Yeah.
People liked my songs off Dynasty. Peter doesn't have any songs on this album.
Yeah.
Fuck it, I'm doing Torpedo Girl. Deal with it.
The world is a better place for it.
Naked City should still be performed live by Kiss. Or should be performed live by Kiss.
Should have ever been performed.
Should have ever, yeah, because they haven't even done that on like the cruise or anything, right?
Not that I know of, no.
That song is great. Like you got Gene Simmons doing kind of a bad Sting impression.
Yeah, I think Naked City is the strongest Gene song on the album.
Oh, easily. I mean, She's So European is fun.
I think Victor's description of it being a parody of a Kiss song while also being a Kiss song is the most accurate take on that song I've ever heard.
And it sounds like the Cars, right? This would have been after that first Cars album, right?
I think it would have, two Cars albums maybe.
The Cars, if they forgot to write a good chorus, though.
Well, yeah. I don't know. She's so European. And you got your weird time signatures in there. I'm always a fan of Kiss dipping their toes into odd times. Or wait. For one. Oh no, it's
it's just a rhythmic thing, I think.
Well, no, it's 3. It's they throw in 2 bars of 3, right? She's so European. 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
There's another 2 beats after that, though, isn't there? Da 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 dan da 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 dan dun dun. She's so.
Oh,
European.
there is. Oh.
They're just being clever. They've got a good drummer in the band, haven't they? So.
I mean, I was going to say, on that note, how awesome is Anton Fig?
Oh, he's amazing. Yeah, Anton Fig is if Anton would have joined the band instead of Eric Carr, I think, I mean, not obviously not to dump on Eric Carr. Eric Carr is a wonderful drummer. But
you're about to.
But I'm about to say that I think they could have, like, imagine Anton Fig playing on The Elder. That shit would have been so good. That shit would have been so good.
How can you improve upon perfection, sir?
You get Anton Fig on it, and also not even Eric Carr played that whole album, right? Like Alan Schwartzberg.
Look, the tracks they had Schwartzberg on were the best drumming, so they made the right call. But I think that Eric was perfect on the other songs. But look, we'll get to The Elder when we get to it.
We'll get to it in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
But no, Unmasked is definitely better than it's given credit for, but not as good as some of the credit it gets.
Well, let's see.
From me? I've never heard anybody else like it.
There's like a weird, especially when you get into like 3 sides of the coin land. There's a whole lot of like
to choose from.
Yeah, well, much in the way that
Look,
like
you can't. 3 sides of the coin doesn't count. They're all bots anyway, so they're just bots that just say things that agree with the hosts. Like, man, Michael Brandvold is right about this.
I just love the idea of people being like, I can't believe that there are Kiss fans out there who like The Elder. They're just saying it to be shocking. By the way, Unmasked is my favorite Kiss album. Like that's
That sounds about right. Yeah, because Unmasked is such a better album.
Yeah.
So yeah, Mike, it's actually your turn to talk about Unmasked.
Unmasked it's just such a fun album. I have so many fun, and in addition to just loving the album, I have like so many interesting like memories associated with it. Because I remember back in the day when we had internet, but you just didn't have access. There was no YouTube, there was no Spotify. You couldn't just get anything you wanted anytime. So you were literally still buying CDs back then, and so you would still have to wonder what albums sounded like. I remember being at the music store and just seeing Unmasked, and I'm one of those guys who loves the album cover. I know a lot of fans hate it, but to me it's intricate. It's like this, comic strip. I'm like, oh, what's going on? And to me, it kind of shows like, to me, it went with the Kiss hype. So they're in this reunion era. They're like giant band again, and the cover to me like portrayed like, oh, this must have been what Kiss was like back in the day. Like they're just trying to go out and about, and photographers are trying to capture them, and then they're going to take off their masks and like, oh, they're still really Kiss. Like, yeah, I get that. That's clever to me. I like that, and I don't mean that sarcastically. And then I turned it over, and it had some of the weirdest, to me at the time, I was like 12 or something, song titles. It's is that you ? Which isn't really insane now, but to me when I was young, I was like, whoa, starting off with a question, what's that all about? And then you go to Shandy, and that's just like a very unique, not common female name. I'm like, who is this Shandy? What's that all about? Then Naked City, I'm like, again, I'm like 12, 13 or something. So they have a whole song about Naked City. And then, a song like Two Sides of the Coin. I was like, whoa, what is this? I'm picturing like a mystical coin that they're flipping, and like a Lord of the Rings type.
Ace
I don't know.
Frehley just really opening his mind.
Exactly. I was kind of hyping up a lot of this, like more so, but it was fun that way. And she's so European. I was like, who's this? No, they're talking about some European chick. That's interesting. Like Torpedo Girl. What's this Torpedo Girl? I was fascinated by these song titles, but I couldn't hear them, and I didn't have the money to just buy every CD I wanted. So I went on without hearing it. So I just built it up in my mind. Well, then I was getting my friend Derek into Kiss, and I was telling him like which albums I really liked and which ones I had. Well, remember one day he came to hang out, and he was like, oh yeah, so I bought, and I knew a lot of fans didn't like Unmasked. So I was intrigued by it, but I knew a lot of fans hated it. So my friend Derek was like, I ended up getting a Kiss CD. I got Unmasked. And I was like, oh, weird choice, because I don't know that one, and a lot of fans hate that one. Very strange. He was like, dude, the song Naked City is amazing. So again, I'm thinking, Naked City. So he comes over, and he puts on this, we play the CD. We go to Naked City. And it's not at all this song about just like, I'm in a naked city with chicks and it's crazy. But it's amazing. I'm like, this song is so good. So we literally like put the song on repeat. And I don't know if we were just idiots or if my dad's like CD player at this point from the 80s was just primitive, but we were trying to repeat one track. And for some reason we couldn't do it in the traditional sense. So we had to start the track, hit another button, and then wait till the end of the track, hit another button. So we were repeating 98% of the song. So we were missing the first note probably and the last note or whatever. It was really weird. So when we listened to this thing over and over, we were playing Super Mario Kart and listening to a 98% version of Naked City. Then ended up listening to the rest of the album. I've gone on and on, but for real, I guess some of these personal memories just make an album fun for you. I love that it's a continuation of Dynasty. I think overall it's a much stronger album than Dynasty. I love that you get a good chunk of lead guitar from Paul, kind of like I mentioned with his solo album, playing on Hold Me, Touch Me. I like his lead playing. As much as I don't like that the band was in turmoil, the fact that we got Anton Fig on it and pretty much all of Dynasty is cool because of what a great drummer he is. So I cannot say enough good things about Unmasked. I had it, at 11, I think, but The fact that someone had it at 1, someone had it in the top 5, I love it. I'm all for it.
And before Jamie goes, I just want to give a quick shout out to Shandy just being a stone cold classic masterpiece of a song, because I realized I wasn't saying enough nice things about Unmasked. And Mike is right. There's a lot of nice things to say about it. So, Jamie, what are your thoughts on Unmasked?
Yeah, I think it's a great album. And, there are so many. I don't know what everybody else's kind of like Kiss listening's like, but I tend to kind of have 4 or 5 Kiss albums that'll be like within my rotation that I'll just kind of like binge listen to, and I'll just listen to them over and over and over and over again, and then I'll get tired of them, and then it'll be another 5, and then it'll be another 5, and then it'll be another 5 until I get through the catalogue, apart from Carnival of Souls, Peter's solo album, and Gene's solo album. Unmasked is currently one of those 5 albums that like I'm just continually listening to, and it surprises me every time I come back to it how great of an album it is. I can't remember who said it, might have been Mike, kind of drew parallels to the Cars a little bit, and that's what this album always reminds me of, and I really like the Cars, so I have no problems with that. It's Kiss doing a really new wave kind of pop album, and it's great. Yeah, Naked City is one of my favorite Gene songs. I think it's I know there are 4 writers on it, but I think it is like one of the shining jewels of Gene's Kiss writing. I think it's a great song.
Just to give credit, it was Gavin who made the Cars reference.
Gavin made the Cars reference. Yes, you clarified whether or not their first album or second album had come out.
Now, Victor, now that you've heard the rest of us talk about Unmasked, I think it's only appropriate to give you closing statements on the album.
I think if we did this ranking again in a year, Unmasked would be the unequivocal number 1 from everyone. Now that you understand the perspective of someone who really gets Kiss, having talked about Unmasked, you're all going to be listening to it more carefully to really understand, like that there is a hot babe on the bridge. And whether it's a dream or not, let's take a dive.
Gavin, I just have a question for you as a drummer.
Yeah.
I know you've worked hard at your craft and everything. You reference a lot of very drummer type guys and everything. Having said that, how difficult is it for you as a drummer to know that you haven't and never will play anything as cool as that intro to Shandy?
It is brilliant, and it's something I've had to make peace with. Also, there's that fill coming out of. Oh shit! It's either there's a fill towards the end of the song. I forget exactly where it is, but it's this thing that.
Oh yes, I can hear it. Yeah.
Yeah, but between the high toms and the high
that thing is awesome.
Yeah.
That's just an amazing.
And the way Peter pretends to play it in the video is great.
And he's laughing as he does it because he knows he has no fucking idea what's going on there. Not to. I mean, I don't want to take anything away from Peter either. I love Peter Criss as a drummer, but Anton Fig is just. I mean, he's Kiss's best drummer. Between the Ace solo album, between Dynasty, between this, he's Kiss's best drummer.
I mean, in terms of like ability on a recorded album, I have to agree.
Yeah. I mean,
you're probably right about that in terms of like the actual ability as a musician and the versatility. I'm also considering.
He's the most sensitive drummer I think they've had in terms of like sensitive to the song and not like. He doesn't plow through things the way that Peter would, or take everything up 87 BPM like Eric Carr would, or be kind
overplay
of boring
like
sometimes like Eric Singer.
Why would you not take everything up 87 beats per minute?
Well, that's why Eric Carr is Steve's favorite member of Kiss. He's like, let's just play it faster, you guys.
It'll be over sooner. For the Crazy Nights tour, we can get that show down to like 20 minutes if you just let me count everything off.
This sounds amazing. I'm sold.
One last thing about Unmasked, which is I'm honestly very glad to hear everybody at least likes it. I didn't actually hear that much bad shit about the album, which I kind of was expecting, except as we kept not getting to it as the ranking was going on, I was like, so maybe people do like this one, and it's just like, I don't know, it's just funny that I like it more.
That's probably an accurate take. I would say the general consensus on this album in terms of history, because that's a word, is that this album has sort of got forgotten by American fans who just sort of wrote it off as like, oh, that's like light pop. But then people revisited it and enjoyed it, and then Australia just always had a boner for it. So it's sort of forgotten and not discussed a bunch. But when people do bother to discuss it, like, you know what? Actually, it was pretty good.
The anniversary vinyl pressing that they've just released is really nice as well. That's worth mentioning.
Really?
I was really happy to see that. If you haven't, I recommend you just Google it if you haven't seen it. But they've done a really nice splatter vinyl for it with all the colours from the album.
Oh,
Nice.
Really nice job.
That Sydney bootleg show that comes from the Unmasked tour is, I think, a really good show.
Yeah, that is.
I like Sydney. Yeah. What are your thoughts on that show, Victor? And compare and contrast it to Largo 77 and Largo 79.
So I would love to do the comparing and contrasting, but I wasn't at either of the Largo shows.
Well, but they've been filmed. That's how I wasn't there either.
But I was at the Sydney show.
Oh, okay.
So it's difficult for me to be like, oh, the show that I was like kind of behind the soundboard for and secretly recording. Like, it's difficult for me to be like, oh, but these ones that I just watched on the couch are as good.
Well, but you got to admit, it's nowhere near as good as the Winterland show.
Well, obviously.
Whew, that Winterland
like,
show.
what am I?
That is
what
a
am
band
I,
on
a guy
fire.
who doesn't know stuff?
Yeah. I mean,
Not that.
Houston 76 isn't bad either. I like that one, too. You got Flo and Eddie introducing the band, but...
Oh, and they love them.
Oh, wait. No. That's Anaheim 76. And Anaheim was with Flo and Eddie, right? Yes.
Yeah.
Because Houston was 77, right?
Yeah.
I think that's the one you're thinking of, yeah.
Were any of you on that free Kiss bootleg Facebook group while that was a thing for like...
I don't think I was aware of it, so that's a bummer.
Yeah, the guy was just posting Dropbox links to like...
Okay, wow.
Like concert, video stuff.
Sure.
It was all, but that's where I got my kind of collection from, and
that's awesome, man. I might have to hit you up.
Yeah, definitely. I've got them all on a hard drive. I'll send them to you. He's got cool stuff too, like there was a 40th anniversary 2-disc edition of Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park that was going around on that.
What is a bunch of just like the outtakes and stuff, or just
it's both Kiss Meets the Phantom and Attack of the Phantoms.
Attack of the Phantoms. Okay, sure, yeah. Because it's different soundtrack, and what are there some different scenes or?
Yeah, some of the scenes are extended in the European cut, and they use solo album songs.
Right.
Attack of the Phantoms.
I've never A-B'd them. For the most part, the story's the same. It doesn't completely change the story or anything, right?
There are no major structural differences. It's
right.
just,
Okay. Yeah.
It's not so European.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love it.
I'm going to link to the Unmasked album in the chat if you want to check out what it looks like.
Oh yeah. I'll do this. Oh wow! You're saying the disc itself has that.
Yeah. They've done a similar one for the anniversary pressing of Alive. Normally, I don't buy from Kiss Online because import taxes are extortionate.
Sure. That's why you got to go to kissonline.co.uk.
Yeah, well, if only that was a thing. Normally, the Kiss records end up on the Sound of Vinyl after a couple of months. So when Dress to Kill got announced, and I wasn't asked about how it looked because I think it was just an orange vinyl and it seemed a little bit lazy. I thought, it'll be fine. I'll just wait until it goes on the Sound of Vinyl and I won't be stung with all of the charges like I was for the self-titled. And then obviously COVID hit, which meant manufacturing was down, which meant everything was on fire. So I missed out on it and I was devastated. And then the same happened with Double Platinum. That sold out so quickly. And then, is anybody part of the Kiss My Wax group?
I'm in that group on Facebook, yeah.
I think I got kicked out.
Well, sounds about right.
Well,
How'd you get kicked out?
It's him.
Too many normal opinions.
Did you piss off Scambetti?
At you probably. The thing is,
wow.
I know him IRL is the difference.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's just like, I just know it's like, oh yeah, that fucking guy from Cleveland. So it's like, I think I was trolling him too much, and we're still friends, but I just like, he's very easy to troll because he takes Kiss super seriously.
Too seriously.
And so like, if you joke at all about Kiss, he gets really upset. And so it's fun.
Yeah.
I mean, the group is full of dicks. Like, did you see the releases that they put out for Double Platinum?
No, I didn't.
I know that they did one.
Oh
Yeah.
man, they were amazing. Like, there was a really cool picture disc where it had two of the faces on either side, so it would have like Gene and Paul on one side, and then and Gene was red and Paul was purple, and then on the flip you had the green and blue for Peter and Ace, and like it looked amazing, but it sold out really quickly. It was like a $200 record limited to 500 or something like that, and people in the Kiss My Wax group had been buying 3 copies so that they could sell 2 for inflated prices in that group. And like,
I mean, honestly, I would do that.
you're a dick.
Look, capitalism, I'm an American, and yes, I am.
The Americans. Well, you see,
He's
proper
even wearing a
socialist
Lakers
like
jersey.
me.
Here's I would, if I were to buy that, I'd actually probably would only buy 1 copy of it and sell it for an inflated price, simply because I already have Double Platinum on vinyl. So I don't necessarily need the re-release that much.
You're not a proper completist. I can't
I'm
help.
not a proper completist. I'm like, you know what? 1 copy is good enough. And like, even with bands that I love, like, there's some Thin Lizzy albums I don't have because I'm broke. I'm like, you know what? It's on streaming. I'm all right.
That's fair enough.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to the Lipstick Panel, hosted by Lipstick Generation. Lipstick Generation's music can be found on all major streaming platforms and at lipstickgeneration.com. If you're listening to the podcast on YouTube, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Let us know your ranking of the subject in the comments down below. Feel free to leave us an episode suggestion also. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast app, please leave a review and tell a friend about our show. Thanks and rock on.